Hey, Kind family. It's Kristen here with Kind. Brienne is not with us tonight. Please send your prayers her way. She's having some health issues. We'd appreciate that. So I'm kind of taking the reign. I'm here with Erin on our team as well. We're both going to interview our amazing professionals we have for you tonight to do some Q&A, educate you on safety, since that is what we are talking with. Oh, yay, good, we're live. Erin, we're good. As was last time. So we're talking about safety tonight, specifically sleep safety and car seat safety. I have Rebecca Mickey here. She is a sleep consultant. Do you want to give us a little background on yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, great. Yes. My name is Rebecca Mickey. I am a Seattle-based children's sleep consultant and author. I work with families of children under 6 years old, so there's a real broad range of ages and issues that I work with. I am a gentle, no-cry sleep consultant. I'm not advising families to leave their children to cry it out for a number of reasons. I have 2 daughters of my own who are now teenagers, and honestly, it does all change. I cannot get them out of bed in the morning. Seriously, I cannot. And it all sort of like all comes around.
That's good to hear, right? For us moms with little ones. So, we're going to hit a lot of education tonight, but also we definitely want to talk to you guys about our products. So for every single mom who is watching the show, we're going to give you guys our breastfeeding starter pack. So let me show you what's in there. It's a great introduction to our system. I'm here going to give you guys the link that will get you this for free. All you pay is $6 shipping, which is great. So our company's made a great investment to hook you guys up to get you this starter pack. So you'll get a nipple, our slow flow nipple. You'll get the adapters to connect our amazing twist pouches directly to your pump. So you're not pumping into a bottle and then transferring your milk into your pouch. So then what you're going to do is you take a pouch, store it, then you pop this right into your bottle and you feed it to baby. For those of you who don't know about our system. So this great kit gives you the adapters to hook up to your pump. Also gives you the pouch, gives you the bottle. You can also use the adapters to connect any nipple you want, any other brand, to feed baby with another brand like Dr. Brown's or anything like that. So definitely grab your free starter pack on us tonight. Pay $6 shipping. We'll have other giveaways and promotions as well. So please tag your friends below. Share. We're going to give away a Twist gift set tonight valued at $100. Have some other great discounts from Rebecca and also Twiniversity, who's doing the car seat safety part of the show tonight. So stay tuned for those discounts. Stay tuned for the giveaway. Share, like. Let's see, did I freeze? Uh-oh. Are we having trouble? Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good. Tag, comment, ask questions along the way. We'll answer your questions, and let's just kind of get started. So let me bring everyone else back on. So Rebecca, what does kind of safe sleep look like in talking about safety?
That's a great question. So we want our children to obviously sleep in a safe environment. There's a lot of S's there, and I'm going to probably mess up an awful lot tonight, and I apologize. We want our children to be sleeping in a safe environment. And, obviously we want them to be safe absolutely everywhere. But when they're sleeping in a safe environment, it reduces the risk of SIDS. And so that's really, really, really important. There's actually a lot that we don't know about SIDS, but there's some things that we do know, and that's sleeping in a safe environment. And so that looks like different things depending on where your child is sleeping and depending how old they are. And so starting right with a newborn, we want the child to be sleeping on a very firm surface. Don't worry about them getting uncomfortable. It's not like you sleeping on a firm surface. They're very, very light. And so sleeping on a firm surface is really, really important. And that means just that we want just a sheet on the mattress, whether that's in the bassinet, or a crib. We just want to have a fitted sheet, tight fitted sheet on that mattress, and your child can then sleep there. Other things that we can do to be ensuring that they're sleeping safely is making sure that they don't have anything covering their face, covering their head. So keeping blankets out of there, I think, is actually really, really important. A lot of times with newborns anyway, we're swaddling. And so you can have swaddles that are designed and are made strictly for swaddling, and they're not really going to be busting open like it would maybe if you were using a receiving blanket or you were using a sheet to try and swaddle with. That's kind of impossible anyway. I remember trying to do that with my wiggly little newborns, and that was just like the hardest thing ever. I'm better at making burritos than I am at at swaddling
It is
newborns.
not easy. I
And
remember
yeah,
being in my class, like as a new mom, and I was like, what? Like, come again?
exactly. So look, thank goodness people have come up with these swaddles where you can just kind of just wrap your child up, where you can just kind of zip them in. And thank goodness then that they are going to be keeping warm. They're going to be, it's the startle reflex, the Moro reflex is a reflex that we're all born with. And this can wake your child up as you're laying them down. It's that sort of, as they're laying down, they can startle, or even as they're going through sleep cycles, they can startle. So a swaddle will actually help with that, making sure that the swaddle is fitting well. We don't want to have any bumpers in the crib either, because a couple of reasons. One of them is that when your child starts rolling, it does become a suffocation risk that your child can roll into that. And then even with older children, then when they're getting up to that standing position, they can stand on that, and that could give them a couple of inches extra height. Then they may be able to get out of the crib, fall out of the crib. So we want to keep bumpers out of there altogether. Want to make sure that your child is not getting too hot either. Getting overheating is also increases the risk of SIDS. So keeping the room kind of cool, between 65 and 68 is actually really good sleep temperature. And that can be a little bit, sometimes people feel that's a little bit cool, especially with a newborn, but you can kind of layer them you can have sort of a onesie on and some PJs. You can be layering them to keep them warm if you feel that they are actually a little bit cool. I wouldn't check their forehead or their hands to see whether they are cold. If you want to check their temperature, check on their chest, because their circulation as a newborn is not that great. And so their head or their hands may actually feel pretty cool when actually they're not feeling cold at all, if you feel their chest. So that's a really good tip there for figuring out how hot or cold your child is.
Okay. So I think those are some great tips. So now you kind of talked about babies waking up. Like, what's kind of normal? And obviously with breastfeeding, that ties into kind of a sleep wake routine. What is normal, and why is it important to know what is normal?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's start by just sort of remembering that normal is just a setting on the dryer. It really is. There is kind of no real normal when it comes to sleep. It's what's normal for your child. But there are some things that kind of developmentally that children will go through at around kind of the same time. So we have this newborn stage where every single newborn is sleeping just like a newborn should. They don't get into a deep sleep. They kind of have a dream sleep, but it's not exactly the same as ours. And they don't have daytime sleep or nighttime sleep. That doesn't begin to develop. Nighttime sleep doesn't begin to develop until around 6 weeks old. So up until then, absolutely everything is a nap. There's just sort of that a lot of times people think, my child has got the day and night mixed up. That's impossible, because they don't have a day or a night. That circadian rhythm, the day-night cycles are very, very immature. 6 weeks, that's when the nighttime begins to develop. And so we may be able to see, so actually bedtime get a little bit earlier at this point. You remember we're having a newborn and bedtime was like crazy late, sort of midnight. It does begin to sort of get earlier and earlier at this point. And then at 12 weeks of age, there is a very, very big shift with sleep. And it's actually 12 weeks from due date, not from birth date. So 12 weeks from due date, there's a big shift going from these newborn sleep cycles to actually go into adult sleep cycles, the same ones that you and I go through, but much shorter. They are much shorter than ours. We now have nighttime sleep managed by one area of the brain. Daytime sleep is managed by a different area of the brain. So naps are completely different to the nighttime. Nights continuing to develop, and hopefully now we'll start to see some longer stretches there. Your child is definitely dreaming, is having the exact same sleep cycles, getting into that deep sleep, dreaming like we do. Who knows what a 12-week-old is dreaming about? Who knows? Boobs, milk, who knows what it is that they're actually dreaming about. So yes, so they're dreaming, they're getting into that deep sleep, but there's still going to be lots and lots of wake ups. These are definitely normal. If you're looking at kind of averages, then most children at 12 weeks are waking during the night and needing to feed. And even again at 6 months, most children are waking during the night and needing to feed. And then as we get nearer to a year, that sort of gets less and less children are waking during the night and needing to feed.
What do you have any tips for new moms in managing the short sleep cycles, being up all the time, and kind of getting into a rhythm and routine with that?
So in that fourth trimester, which is that first 12 weeks, that's where things are really tough, because that everything is a nap. And though your child may be getting some nice long stretches, 2-3 hours, that means that you're being woken up every 2 or 3 hours, and you are having to feed and maybe do a diaper change, and then you get your child back to sleep, and then it takes you a while to get back down to sleep. So you're not getting necessarily that 2 or 3 hours. You get less of a chunk of sleep there. And so I know there's a bazillion different memes out there about the whole sleep when baby sleeps, and like, okay, I'll do laundry when baby does laundry and all of this. But sleeping when baby sleeps, I think, is really important. It doesn't mean that you have to be asleep every single time that your infant is. But maybe if you can just kind of schedule once a day that you're going to be able to nap whilst they're napping, I think that's really important that you do that. I mean, obviously, if you could nap every single time your child is napping, that would be amazing, but that's not really going to be possible or realistic.
Yeah, right.
So set reasonable goals. So definitely rest and sleep when baby sleeps. Definitely hard if you have older children. In fact, it's near impossible if you have older children. But then think back to when your baby was born, and you had everybody coming to visit you, and people said to you, if there's anything you need, let me know. They really mean that. When people say that, they really do mean that. So if you need somebody to come and take your older child out for an hour so that you can get the baby down and you can nap, or if you'd like somebody to come and just hold the baby so you can nap, just honestly ask your friends. I would be over the moon if I had a friend who asked me if I could just come and help out. So think back to everybody who asked you in those early days and take them up on it. Take them up on it. They want to be there. They want to help you.
Okay. Yeah, those are great tips. So let's talk about sleep routines. Are sleep routines important? Is there a certain point that moms should think about routines? Let's kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I like to start a nighttime routine, a getting ready for bed routine, at around that 12-week mark. Getting ready for bed routine, this is something that most people will naturally start doing. But you don't have to start it at that point. You can start at any time. A lot of people are actually starting before the 12 weeks, but I like to get started at around the 12-week mark. And you want that routine where you're getting your child ready for sleep to be really consistent. So that means that you're doing the same thing in the same place, in the same order, before bed every single night. And what this does is it actually cues your child for sleep, because there's a couple of reasons why. One is that the brain knows that sleep's coming, because after we do this and then we do this, then the brain knows that sleep's coming, because that order there, you're nice and consistent. And another thing is the predictability of your routine. Doing the same thing, same place, same order, it's very predictable, and your child knows what's coming. Then they're going to be more relaxed. So we have both of these things happening. We're doing the routine in a dim room. So we have melatonin production, which is going to induce sleep. So this is going to be really helpful as well. So just when you get started with a nighttime routine, 20-30 minutes. As your child gets older, then it can be a little bit longer. Anything up to about 45 minutes is great. You can have a massage in there. I mean, who wouldn't sleep great after a massage?
Right.
I know that I would if I was
Absolutely.
massaged. I'd sleep great. So you can have a massage in there, some playtime, a bath, maybe some books, some some songs, and then working on getting down to sleep. You can lengthen the routine out if you need to, or you can shorten it if you need to, meaning that you would always want to do the same steps, but you can lengthen or shorten it, because when you start missing out on those steps, it's no longer relaxing. The brain doesn't know that sleep's coming, so it's going to actually be harder for your child to fall asleep. But a lot of times we do this when we know that our child is tired and they're getting overtired. We'll kind of skip maybe the books and the songs and we'll rush through that routine, and then it actually take a really long time for your child to get to sleep. So rather than do that, what you may do is you may continue with the book, sit down and read a book, but literally you may look at the front cover and you're done. This is a book, and then you're done and you're on to the next step.
Right.
You're keeping it nice and consistent, but you're able to reduce it down if need be, and you can also lengthen it out. I like to introduce a nap time routine sometime around the sort of same kind of age. And the nap time routine needs to be much, much shorter, but we need that consistency. And this is something you're only going to do when you're at home. So same thing, same place, same order, maybe going into the room, getting into the swaddle or doing a diaper change or into a sleep sack, sitting down, reading a quick book, singing a song, and working on getting down to sleep. Again, everybody can sort of have their own routine that they do, but everybody needs to be consistent with their own routine. And then that's going to fit, these two routines are going to fit into your daytime routine. And the daytime routine scares a lot of people because they feel that they have to be home for naps and they don't want that. That's completely understandable, and you don't have to be. The daytime routine is going to be where you're going to try and avoid your child getting overtired. So you want to be getting them down at kind of that magical moment where they're going to have an easy time. And so once we get past the 12-week mark, your child will want to be awake for a maximum of an hour and a half, and then they nap, and then awake for a maximum of an hour and a half, and then they nap. And that keeps going until it's bedtime. As they get to about 4.5, 5 months, that stretches out to 2 hours of awake before a nap, maximum 2 hours awake, nap, keep going until bedtime. And then when they get to about 6.5, 7 months, you want to start shifting towards what is my kind of secret weapon when it comes to sleep. It's called the 2-3-4 routine. So your child is awake for 2 hours in the morning, then they have their first nap. Then they're awake for 3 hours, then they take their second nap. And then they're awake for 4, and then they go down for the night. So we have 2 naps. We have 3 hours total daytime sleep. Between those 2 naps, we have a 12-hour day. Now, initially, that 4-hour stretch will be a little bit long, so you will need a cat nap in there. But then that will drop. Children will stay on that routine until they drop down to 1 nap, which is somewhere between 12 and 18 months. And then they're on that 1 nap. But that 2-3-4 can completely change sleep. It really, really can.
Oh, those are some great tips. Amelia asked us a question. She says, what sort of things do you recommend to start a nighttime routine? Like, I think maybe specifics is what she's going for.
Some people will have a bath and they'll start their routine with a bath. And then they think, do we have to have then a bath every single night? And, you know, babies are not that messy. They don't necessarily need a bath every single night. So you can have a bath some nights, but not other nights. And that's fine. Your routine would just kind of start after the bath. Or so maybe you go start with a massage after get out the bath, put a diaper on, and then maybe have a massage before getting PJs on. The nights then that you don't have a bath, you would then maybe kind of just have a wash and then start with the massage and then go through the rest of your steps. Going into sort of a calm room is a great sort of start of that routine. The bath needs to be, you know, we want your child to be having fun, but we don't want it to be the most fun, exciting thing on the planet. We want them to be able to kind of calm down. So going from bath to going somewhere kind of calm and relaxed, dim lights, that was a sort of a good sort of segue into that routine.
Okay, cool. We have another question that was asked on Instagram today. I want to make sure we hit this one because you kind of talked about it a little bit in routine. It says, how can you tell your baby is overtired or just doesn't need as much sleep? My baby's 8 months old and sleeping 9 to 10 hours at night, but I can only get him to do 1 nap that varies between 1 to 4 hours.
Great. That's a great question. And it really depends on the child. So some children who are 8 months are still going to be having 2.5 naps and getting 3+ hours of sleep. And then other children are not. Now, a child who is doing really well at night may not need so much daytime sleep. you want to sort of look at how your child seems, how tired they seem. So we want them to be tired when they before they go down for the nap. So don't sort of let that gauge as to how tired, as whether they're overtired or not. We need them to be tired. And then don't gauge them when they wake up from a nap. There's a lot of people who are not happy when they wake up. I'm married to one of them. Just
I
not
am one of
happy.
them. Yeah, me too.
People don't like being, just being woken up. So don't kind of gauge that either. Gauge that midway between and see kind of how your child seems. Do they seem to be really tired and irritable? If so, then maybe they do need to be getting a little bit more daytime sleep. If they're not and they're as happy as a clam, chances are you're on the perfect daytime routine.
Okay, good. Here's another question from Rhonda. Let me pop it up. Here we go. What's the best way to help our 4-year-old adjust into our bedtime routine when coming back from his dad's house? He's testing boundaries. I'm not sure what his routine is at his dad or if they even have one for him, but it can be a challenge, she said.
Oh, I bet. And it's actually a great thing that you can do, and you can do this with him and really try and get him on board, would be to make a sort of a chart which has the bedtime routine on, so that he can be incorporated into coloring it and all of those, doing pictures, and then you can stick that up in the room. And so you then are following that routine. So when you go into the room, it may be that you're going to put PJs on, and then he's going to brush his teeth. And each single step is kind of, there's a little picture there, and you can write then next to it what it is. That's kind of up on the wall, and that kind of makes it official when it's kind of there. You can then ask him, what step do we do next? So, right, we've just come back in from brushing our teeth. What are we going to do? And then he can look, okay, we're going to read books. Great. So which book are you going to choose? So trying to give him as many choices as possible, as much as you can within part of that routine, but you want to stick within the boundaries of kind of what it is that you set up. If you're giving him those options, that's great, because of course you say he's testing those boundaries. He wants to be in charge. So you can give him as many options as you can. What pajamas he wears, which toothbrush he uses, which books he reads, what songs he wants you to sing. All of these things are the choices that he can have, but it's kind of set in stone as to what then the order that you're going to do the things as, and you're then working with him to stick with that routine rather than you telling him what to do. It's kind of, you're both on the same team then, and it's kind of then the chart's fault, kind of. That's, the chart is the bad guy, not you.
Yeah, we'd all rather have something inanimate be the bad guy than
Definitely. It takes the heat off you, really does.
Right, because I know, in our house, bedtime can be such a fight sometimes. So, and I hate feeling like the bad guy with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I might do that myself. We're gonna make a chart up.
Yeah, no, it's really, really helpful. It can be and put everything in there. Like if you're going to sit and snuggle for a little bit, put that bit in there as well. It just can be, you just kind of got then everything. And there's kind of if we don't have snuggle time on there, but we're going to have snuggle time, that's showing that, we can deviate from this and it's okay. You need to have kind of exactly everything that you're going to be doing and stick with it.
Right, because kids love, when they know what to expect, as
exactly.
you kind of already hit on. Here's another question. We're getting some good questions in, guys. Keep them coming. Rebecca's here to answer your questions, so definitely keep asking them. Marissa says, let's pop it up on the screen. I need to know how to get my 3-year-old to sleep in her own room, in her own bed. She sometimes goes down in her bed, but always ends up back in our room.
Sounds like my house.
And that is honestly one of the most common things that sleep issues that preschoolers have, is that either they need somebody there with them whilst they fall asleep, or they just kind of come through to you in the middle of the night. And it depends how really it is that she's waking up. Is she waking up and calling for you and then you just bring her in with you? Or is she stealthily getting into bed and you wake up potentially 3 hours later and you're, whoa, she's there. How the heck did that happen? And you don't know. And obviously, depending on what happens, depends on the best way to deal with it. So initially, though, either way, I'd start talking to her about it and about how you'd like her to be spending more of the night in her room. But I wouldn't say, no, you can't come into my bed, because saying no to a 3-year-old, especially at nighttime, nobody's that silly. Nobody's going to be doing that, because the tantrum that will ensue if you say, no, you can't come in here. So
Yeah.
rather than saying no, you can make up a rather uncomfortable bed on the floor in your room. And say, it's fine, you can, if you want to sleep in here, you can. You have this great bed on the floor, or you can sleep back in your room. So you're giving your child the option there. You're giving them the two options. You can sleep on the floor in my room, or you can go back to your bed. Now, that bed that you make in your room should not be comfortable. So if you have hardwood floors, even better. You just literally have a pillow and a blanket, and that's it. Because we're not saying, no, you can't sleep here, but we want it to be that actually your child chooses that they're going to go back into their bed because it's far more comfortable. So that's one way you can do it. If you are being kind of woken up, or as they're even to get into your bed or to go and get them, then you can do that similar sort of thing, rather than saying no or doing the repeated kind of taking them back. Because a lot of times what you'll read is that just take them back, just keep taking them back to bed. And this can go on 30, 40, 50 times. And then nobody's sleeping, everybody's angry, and it's just kind of not working.
Right.
So rather than doing that, if it's kind of getting to that, or you know that your child will do that, I would do kind of the bed option. Just giving your child that choice of what it is that they'd rather do, where they would rather sleep. But you do need to kind of stick with that, and not give in to let them then into your bed.
Okay. Let's see. Kayla here is asking about co-sleeping. Obviously, let's touch on that a little bit. Let's talk about, safe room sharing and kind of what's recommended there.
Yeah. So the American Academy of Pediatrics should suggest room sharing for the first 6 to 12 months. And that means that your child is sleeping in your room, or you're in their room, but you are sharing a room with them, but they are on a separate sleep surface. The American Academy of Pediatrics are now beginning to understand that people do bed share. And they obviously want people to be doing this safely, because if you're not doing it safely, that's when accidents will happen. And it can be done safely. It just kind of takes, you need to really kind of look into this if you are wanting to bed share. And I honestly suggest that everybody, whether you are planning on bed sharing or not, but you make sure that your bed and your sleep space is incredibly safe. For just in case, because you may be sat up in bed feeding and fall asleep. And that's how most people will end up bed sharing. They have no intention of doing it, absolutely none, but maybe they fell asleep, or maybe that's where everybody's getting some better sleep. So you want to make sure that the space is really, really safe. And that means that firm mattress, so no Tempur-Pedic mattress. That is not safe for an infant or for a child to be sleeping on. So you need to be having a firm mattress, just the same way we do in their bassinet or in their crib. We have a firm mattress there. We don't want any pillows, so we need to be sort of having pillows and covers right out of the way. Your child should be between you and a wall or a bed rail. So not in the middle of the bed. So if you need to move your mattress or move your bed to across the room against a wall, that's much safer, making sure there's no gap between the mattress and the wall or the bed rail. Making sure that you're tying your hair back even. That's a lot of sort of time that people don't even think about that. But if you have long hair, tie your hair back.
Yeah.
And making sure your child is not swaddled if they're bed sharing with you, and that you are breastfeeding.
Great tips. Thank you for addressing that. That's amazing.
The elephant in the room, right?
Right, exactly. I think we handled that very well. Let's talk about kind of what you do and how you help parents, when they're really at that point, like, I don't know what to do with my baby. We're struggling. Like, how do you help parents? What do you do?
So I work privately with families, as well as I have my membership site called Slumber Academy. So when I'm working privately with families, we're sort of just tailoring everything to that unique family. And we're looking at the unique child and their temperament, age, and the sleep issues that they're having. And then we're looking at realistic sleep expectations. I'm not saying that I can get your 12-week-old to sleep through the night, because that's just, I can't guarantee that. It really depends on the child. And so we're looking at realistic sleep expectations as well. And then we work together for normally between 4 and 6 weeks to be getting the results that we're after. They also have Slumber Academy, which is a great membership site where you can get all the information that you need. You'll have step-by-step instructions for gently sleep training, as well as dealing with common and not so common sleep issues. all the routines and everything are all information that you have there. And then we have live weekly Q&As. You can set up private calls with me, and we have a really active Facebook group as well.
Okay, that's awesome. And you're giving away, well, you're not giving away, you're offering everybody 20% off today
Yeah.
at Slumber Academy. Go visit slumberacademy.com, and the code is KIND2019.
I'm actually in that group, so I can vouch for how great it is.
Great.
Well, Erin, tell us a little bit more about your experience with Slumber Academy.
Well, I mean, so I joined when my second was born, because with my first, we did the no routine thing, right? Like everything was just fly by the seat of your pants.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
did
I
not
think we
work.
all did that with our first,
Yeah,
didn't we?
and it didn't work. Nobody slept. I was exhausted. It was just not good. So I joined just to get, like, some of these same things that Rebecca shared with us tonight. I did not, like, I was totally like, this is not, it's going to be the same, right? I'm not going to get any sleep. It's not going to matter. No, that routine made such a difference, even if it was just for me to know, like, this is how our night's going to end. And sometimes my baby did take longer to fall asleep, or she woke up more frequently, or whatever. But it was a lot when my sanity was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. Then it wasn't so like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yeah.
Right. Every single night. I was like, oh, we're just having a bad night. So it did make a huge difference just in my reassurance. And I noticed, and I realized that babies are different. So it could just be my kids' personalities, but that my daughter did maintain the consistency that I gave her.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It was very helpful for me.
I'll have to keep that in mind for the future.
Yeah, I was like, we're not doing this game again, because with my son, I feel like a zombie 100% of the time. Like I was sleeping when he slept because I could, but then once my daughter came along, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. He wasn't taking naps anymore, my 2.5-year-old at the time.
Oh,
so I was like, we've got to find some sanity. We did, at least my husband and I would divide and conquer at night.
Yeah.
So I was
That's a great way to do it.
Baby, which helped a lot. And it also kept my 2.5-year-old in his routine.
Yeah.
Because by that time we had wised up, right? Some kind of routine. So it helped that the baby had a routine and the toddler had a routine, and they were separate, but they were similar, and that everybody was like, knew what to expect and what to do. And we still had bad nights, but one bad night you can handle when 90% of your nights are at least consistent.
Definitely, yeah. We're just after good enough. Perfection would be great,
yes.
But we're just after good enough.
Good enough, yes. That's what
I like that. You're setting realistic expectations, and then the goal is to get not always achieve that, but get as close to set expectations as possible.
Yeah.
Based on age and development, which is huge, and it's important to educate what is realistic at each age.
Definitely.
Through the night off the bat is definitely not realistic.
No, exactly. And really looking at the child's temperament as well. I think temperament really plays a huge part in how a child sleeps. And studies show this to be the way, that children who are more intense and spirited struggle more than those who are laid back and easygoing. So we want to be looking at the child's temperament, so we can look at different techniques. Cry it out is not going to work for a really intense spirited child, because they'll just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. But it may work for a super laid back, easygoing child, because they won't get to that kind of panicky stage. They'll just fuss for 10 minutes and then just fall asleep and sleep for 8 hours. So looking at what is actually going to work for the unique child as well, I think is really, really important. Whether you do whatever you're doing with sleep, sort of, because it's so overwhelming, you just kind of search for anything online, anything, and you get millions and billions of pages, and they all contradict each other, and you still don't know what it is that you need to do, because you'll read something and you just think, there's no way my child will do that. There's just no way they're going to do that. So if we can kind of tweak everything, that's what I try and do. And Slumber Academy is give you everything that you need, the best ways that you can tweak it for your unique child. That way you're working with them rather than forcing them to try and do something that may be actually really impossible for them to do.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. I think we have one more question, and I want to make sure this mom gets answered before we move on to car seat safety. So yes, moms who are asking, car seat safety is coming. We have Nakota here who's asking, when can babies start using a pillow?
Great question. So the recommendations did used to be at about 12 months, but now it's heading towards 18 months to use a pillow. Most people are kind of making that transition when they move their child from a crib to a toddler bed or a bed. That's when they're getting sort of more covers and a pillow.
Okay, awesome. Well, Erin, do you have any other questions or anything else you think we need to hit tonight? Or Rebecca, do you have anything else you would like to talk about really quick?
No, I think we've covered so much in such a short time. That was great.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm sure the whole Kind community can echo, the appreciation that we have for your expertise and your knowledge. And thank you for sharing the discount code with our crew. We appreciate that. And I'm going to pop you off here. You have a good night. Thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Bye, Rebecca. Okay, friends, I'm going to bring on Julie, our good friend Julie. Coming to you live. Hi, Julie. How are you?
I like your jazz hands. That's the best way to come into the live show, right?
I have a wide shot that is now narrow. I got to kind of line it up since I have.
We can do this a little Brady Bunch style different. Let me see.
I like
There we go. We're good. Let's do it this way.
Your guest of honor.
Guest of honor, the Britex Frontier. It is filled with crumbs. My hand vac is too wide, and I couldn't get a bunch of the crumbs out. So if you see any crumbs, please pardon our mess.
That's okay.
That just means we know it's real life, right?
This is my real kid that I took out of a minivan and schlepped downstairs. It weighs a ton, by the way, just FYI, in case you're thinking about getting this car seat. It's real heavy. So, it's up.
That's how much we love each other, though. You do that for Kind, and we would do that for Twiniversity.
I didn't throw my back out or anything, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, friends, this is Julie.
Hi, guys.
Obviously, she's amazing. Julie, do you want to give us a little intro bio about yourself so everyone knows who we're talking to and kind of what your background is?
Sure. Okay. I am Julie Burt Nichols, and I am the wizard at Twiniversity. I am the wizard because I am behind the curtain, pulling all of the strings and twirling all the dials, making things happen behind the scenes. So that's how I got my title.
I love it.
I am the editor-in-chief of our website, and we have daily content for parents of twins or higher order multiples. I also teach the Expecting Twins classes in Chicago as well as online. And I just really do a little bit of everything, and including we are constantly seeking to do, additional education. We're always looking to learn more. Like everyone on our team is doing, like one of them became a doula. One of them is working on becoming a lactation counselor. And I went and got trained as a car seat safety technician. So this is something that I did last year, and I loved it. I'm a total car seat nerd, and I am that person who will be like, so let's talk about how you're harnessing your kid, huh? Let's talk about this. So I'm really not afraid to kind of get in there and just be like, hey, here's some tips for how we can make our kids safer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure many of you are kind of in a similar boat as me. You see pictures on Facebook of people maybe not putting their kids in right, or car seats not installed correctly, and it kind of irks you. Go ahead and become a car seat safety tech. Anybody can do it. So there you go. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw your bio somewhere, and I was like, oh, my friend Julie's a car seat tech. We're talking about car seat safety. Come join us.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So yeah, I'm happy to be here and share my information.
Oh, great. So let's just kind of, I guess, dive in and talk about like the anatomy of car seats. What parents need to know about like what parts there are to a car seat and the essentials. Okay.
All right, so we're just gonna go like bare bones. Like I'm gonna assume you guys really know very little about car seats, because I know a lot of you are probably new parents or expecting parents, and maybe you just haven't really had the time to really delve into what makes up a car seat and why it's important. So we're just gonna go back to basics, and maybe people who are a little more seasoned will learn something. So let's just dive on it.
Yes, I love it. Let's do it.
So this is what we would consider this a combination seat. So this only goes forward facing, as with the harness. And then once the child outgrows the weight limit or the height limit for the harness, it would turn into a booster seat. Did you go bye-bye? What happened?
Uh-oh. We have
Uh-oh.
you.
We can still see you.
Oh my God, I got so scared. All of a sudden, like everything disappeared. Okay, I'm here.
We're
Okay.
here.
All right, moving on. All right, so here's the different parts of the seats, and I just want to kind of point out the very basics. Right here, obviously, the buckle. You would think it's obvious, but maybe not to all. Here is our harness. So this is a 5-point harness. And you know, because the 5 points are 1, 2 at the shoulders, and then 3, 4 are the clips at the bottom, and 5 is the buckle. So that's a 5-point harness. So a 3-point harness, which you don't see on car seats, but you might see in a stroller, that would be where it's only the buckle and the 2 clips at the bottom, and it's not holding the child back by the shoulders. Okay, so we got our 5-point harness. Up here, we have our, you could call it auto adjustable harness. This sometimes is also called a no rethread harness. This is not on all car seats. It is typically found on medium to higher end car seats. It's just a way for you to adjust the height of the car seat without having to completely take off the cover and rethread the harness yourself, which often usually is a big pain in the you-know-what. So I totally favor car seats where you pull this thing and it goes up or it goes down. Okay, and then it's just super easy. And, you know, I have twins, so having to do it twice is an extra pain. So I always opt for the auto-adjustable harness, also known as no rethread harness. What else? You'll see here that there's 2 pads around the straps. This came with the seat. Now, that is something important to note because in general, the best practice is to not buy any additional pieces to use with your car seat. You should really only be using what comes in the box because what comes in the box was crash tested with the seat. So any other thing that you might want to add, you know, toys or a rear view mirror or anything like that, that is not put out by your car seat manufacturer, it is not technically safe because it has not been crash tested with it. But here's a caveat to that. If, for example, you bought Britax or Kiko or any particular brand that also makes accessories, any of those accessories that are sold to go with a car seat has been tested with that car seat. So those are safe to use. So if you're like, well, I really want a rear view mirror for my infant, and you got, for example, a Britax infant seat, you could get the Britax rear view mirror, and that would be considered good to go. Okay, what else? And then there's just some other features here, like this is the side impact protection right here. This is, you know, in the event of a side impact collision, this would then give an extra layer of protection. This up here is, again, safe cell impact protection, but also, you know, just functionality wise, this is something that is really nice to have for your kids when they fall asleep during the ride. It's something for them to lean their head against so they're not leaning all the way over. So this is what a lot of times my twins take little naps against when they're on long drives. We have little armrests. We have little cup holders to put snacks and things, one on each side. And I feel like that's a pretty good rundown of the basics of what a car seat looks like. And this is, like I said, this is just a combination which only forward faces. Other kinds of car seats that you'll be learning about, if you haven't already, would be a convertible. And a convertible car seat is one that can be rear facing or forward facing. This one cannot be rear facing. Okay, so this is really more for older kids who would already be in the forward facing position. So we're talking about like ages 4 and up. This is the kind of seat you would want. Or we had this seat. We had convertible seats. We had Britax Marathons. And so we got those right after my twins outgrew their infant seats right around 1 year old. So we use those seats for a long time because my kids are little, they are shorter, and they are lighter. So it is recommended that you keep your children in the seats for as long as they are within the height or the weight requirements. So once they pass either the height or the weight max, you need to move on to the next seat. So if you have particularly tall children or particularly, you know, chubsters, you know, I'm afraid to say it, then you'll need to be a little more aware of when it's time to move up. For me, we've been in our car seats forever. We use that convertible car seat. I think we just switched into these last year when they were like 5.5. So your kids can really stay in the convertible seats for a very long time.
We just switched my 5-year-old.
Oh, see, there you go. A lot of people worry that they're waiting too long and they should switch sooner. And I'm not really sure why. I feel like there's kind of this thing in the parenting world where people feel like if their kid hasn't like developed fast enough that they're behind and that they need to move them into a booster seat faster because they should, because they're a certain age. But it has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with height, weight, and maturity. Because that's the other piece, is that if your child is not mature enough to be using a seatbelt like they will with a booster, then they need to be in a 5-point harness for longer. And then you need to be investing in a seat that can have that uses a harness with a higher weight capacity. So, some seats can go up really high. They can go up, above 100 pounds. So that is something to also consider. Now we are kind of moving in like a backwards fashion. I started when I talked about convertible, and of course, the first seat you start out with typically is your infant car seats, the buckets, as we call them. So those, you don't have to start out with that. You could start out with a convertible, but when it comes to toting around an infant, having the infant car seat carriers, they're just a lot more convenient. Especially me in the twin world, it's so much more convenient to have the carriers because you're lugging 2 babies around everywhere. And it's just so much easier to just snap them into a snap and go and not have to worry about transferring them out of a car as a little baby. So that's something you might want to consider, is you could start out with the convertible and completely, bypass the infant seat, but you are going to be giving up some convenience by doing that. So it might be worth your while to just kind of go with the infant seat and maybe not put as much money into the infant seat. And then once you're ready to move on to convertible, that's where you really put your money into. So it depends on your budget, but I think you're going to be fine. Most convertible car seats go down to around 5 pounds as a minimum. So that's typically with twins. We always have to look out for that when it comes to infant seats or convertible seats. We want to have a 4-pound weight minimum for infant seats, just in case twins come early as preemies.
Right.
I know car seat safety and car seats in general in our expecting twins classes. So you may notice that I'm kind of going on and on and on because this is kind of just what I do a lot, is I educate parents on how to choose the right car seat for them. So I apologize if I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but
no, don't apologize. This is all amazing information that parents need to know, and I know, like with the infant seat myself, it was huge to be able to just like click it out of the base, pop it into my stroller, and so then she kept sleeping, and I'd go into the store or go wherever and do my thing. That was huge for me. It was so convenient.
It's so convenient. And funny thing is that a lot of the students that we have, especially in our New York classes, they don't have cars. So a lot of the questions that my boss Natalie gets in her New York classes, well, do I need a car seat? Because we don't have a car. We're taking a bus or we're taking the train. Why should I get an infant seat? You still need an infant seat, especially because you're going to eventually take a taxi or an Uber.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned how easy it is just to snap right into the base. Something that a lot of parents don't know, you don't have to use the base. You can just connect your infant car seat with the seat belt that's in the car. As long as it's a lap and shoulder belt, which, is the one that comes up here and pulls all the way down and clicks in and, and it gives, then you can install the car seat just with that. You don't have to be lugging your bases through the airport. And I'm in O'Hare and I'm watching people schlepping their infant seats with the base connected to it. And I'm like, oh my God, these people, I wonder if they know. You don't have to do that. And so many parents are like, oh my God, really? I'm like, yes, because bases are actually more of a relatively new piece of equipment to the baby world. They've really only been around maybe 15 years or so. But before that, you always had to use the seatbelt.
Well, here's a great question. Talking about taxis and things, she says, do you need a car seat for an airplane? Or if not needed, is it still a good idea?
Okay, that's a really great question. And I immediately go to the fact that there's 2 babies, but there might not always be 2 babies, right? Because we're only 2% of the population. Okay. Okay, so if you're bringing an infant, I would bring a car seat because it's just going to be you're going to want to have them in something to keep them contained. Now, the other option would be just wearing them in a carrier, such as a Baby Bjorn or something like that. That would be the alternative. I would plan to bring it anyway, even if you're not going to use it on the plane, because, you know, you can have an infant on your lap. But I do want to warn you that having an infant on your lap without a seat, if there is bad turbulence, that could go really south really fast. I've seen, you know, videos and things in the news where babies weren't strapped down and the flight, all of a sudden the turbulence went crazy and the baby goes flying. And that's the last thing I would ever want to happen to your child. So it's a touchy subject because of course we're all like, well, I don't want to pay for my kid to fly. I mean, we can bring them on an airplane for free until they're 2 years old, but there is going to be, you know, a factor of safety in there right there. So it really kind of depends on what you're willing to do. Now, if you only buy a seat for you and you want to bring your baby onto the plane with a carrier, you're not really going to have that, you're not gonna be able to put that anywhere. So if you really want to have your baby in the carrier sitting next to you, you're gonna have to buy that additional seat. So it really kind of depends on what risk you're willing to take. You know, the airline is totally fine with you holding your infant in your lap, but I kind of give you guys that heads up. If it's children that are out of infant seats that are in they're toddlers and they would need convertible seats, I would bring the convertible seats on the plane because that's really the only way you're going to keep them contained. They are all over the place. They are climbing over the seats. They are going nuts. I want their own seat. Have a lightweight car seat. They sell like the Costco Sonera. It's really low cost. You can get them at Walmart. They're like $50 and you can strap them in that way. And it's just a really nice way. And kids kind of, once they're in a car seat, they kind of have a different way of behaving. They kind of know the drill and they feel kind of like, okay, this is where I'm sitting. This is a safe space for me. And now I can kind of chill and relax and like maybe play with my iPad or play with my toys. But if they're just loose in the airplane without a seat, they're more likely to maybe act out and not really feel like they know their place. Car seat in that way also is kind of a little bit of a psychological trick on your child to kind of help them to calm down and find their safe zone in a way. After that, you don't need to bring a car seat. So once your kids are, I would say probably around 3 or 4 years old, once they've matured a bit, you don't need to be bringing them on the seat. You definitely cannot use booster seats on a plane, but there really isn't any need because the lap belt comes so far down that it's not an issue. Okay.
That's good info. Here's another question. Is a more expensive car seat necessarily better, in quotes? Rebecca's shopping for a good infant car seat, and what do you recommend? How do you suggest she shops around?
Okay, great. So every car seat that is on the market is considered safe for baby. These car seat companies have to pass really strict parameters, and they have to do self-testing, and they do get drive-bys by the I don't know if it's NHTSA or there's some governing board that checks in on these car seat companies and will just kind of come in and they'll just kind of do a spot check and make sure that they're following all their rules. So they really have to keep up very, very carefully. So every seat that is on the market is safe for your baby. Now, that said, there are additional features that are typically found with seats that are a little higher in cost that make your seats extra safe. They kind of add an extra layer of protection. So some things you'll want to look for are the linear side impact. It's also, the initials are LSP. That's something that I would look for. That's what we talked about over here, the side impact protection. It's just kind of like an extra layer. Some car seats you'll see have like a button where you push it and then like an extra little arm kind of pops out. And that's like a little, it's literally like a little arm. So if there was a side impact collision, that arm would be right up against the car and it would literally push the seat further away from the impact. So look for LSP. That's a nice thing to look for. When it comes to should I spend more money or less money on my car seat, it really all has to do with extra features. So the convenience factor, like for me, like I said earlier, with the auto adjustable harness, without having to completely take my car seat apart and rethread that harness, it's going to cost you to have a feature like that. For me, I think it's worth every penny because I hate rethreading car seat harnesses. was like the bane of my existence. And then having to do it twice was like, oh my God, why did I buy these cheap seats? I kind of cursed myself because I was a little penny wise and dollar foolish when it came to some of the things that I needed to buy for my twins. And the car seats are where I wish I did put a little bit more money to have some convenience features just to kind of make my life easier, because car seats I was dealing with on a regular basis multiple times a day. It's not just like one thing that you maybe use now and then. It was like all the time. So I feel like if you have wiggle room in your budget, I do feel like it is worth it to get a seat that has some of these nicer features to just kind of make your life better.
Cool. That's some very good information. Let's see what else we have. Or what about, let's talk about buckling babies in. What do we need to know about how to buckle your baby? And then, you know, as they grow, how do you buckle your kids in?
Oh, I love that you asked me this, because this is one of my pet peeves, is that parents are really afraid of hurting their babies by making the harness too tight. And I just want you to know your baby's going to be okay. You're not going to hurt them by pulling the harness tight, okay? Now, the way that you know if it's too tight is clearly if your baby looks uncomfortable, but also you should be able to slide like a finger right underneath it just to kind of see. You just need a little bit of slack, okay? But not enough, tiniest bit. Now, one thing that you need to do, you need to learn how to do, is to do a pinch test. So I'm going to show you right here on here. So here's our strap, right? I'm going to make sure that you guys can see. So here's our strap. Now the straps should be flush against your baby's body, which means that it's flat against their chest, right? So once you have it nice and flush against their body, I want you to try to pinch the strap, okay? If you can't pinch the strap, you've passed the test, okay? Oh, you can't see it. I'm out of camera. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
Oh, it's good? Okay.
Yeah.
I have different like borders than you do, I think, of the camera. So if you pinch it and you can get some slack in there, that's not good, okay? You want to not have any slack. You want it to be completely flat against your baby's body, okay? So that's what you need to do. You need to just continually keep tightening it. What I recommend, here, let me show you, for example. You're going to want to make sure that this, can you guys see right up here? You want this to be pulled more taut before you tighten the top part of the harness, okay? Some people do the opposite, where they're like, oh, I'm going to pull this so tight, but then suddenly there's all this slack in the bottom. You want to get the slack out of the bottom first. Then you pull the strap at the bottom to make these nice and snug. One other thing you guys need to really pay close attention to is this retainer clip, also known as a chest clip, okay? So this clip needs to line up with the armpits of your baby or child, okay? So that's just rule of thumb, armpit level for this clip right here. I think I covered it all. Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's great. And now that also applies to the infant seats as well, right? All of the tightening and everything you talked about, just to clear it up for our new moms.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Oh my God,
Love it.
it's a ton.
We had some questions about, do you recommend the fire department installing seats? A friend recommended that, but I never heard of it before.
Yes. Okay. Yes and no. So here's the thing. Yes, go have your car seats inspected to make sure that you have installed them correctly. Do not depend on the fire department to install your car seat for you. Okay. So this is also all about teach a man to fish kind of a thing, right? You need to be following the manual that you have been given. You need to read that manual from front to back. You need to consider that manual your Bible, and you need to keep it handy. Do not lose that manual, because you may have to refer back to it later. So once you have gone through your manual and you have tried to install the car seat yourself and you feel like you did a good job based on what the instructions said, then you need to seek out a car seat tech such as myself. And typically you can find them at fire stations or police stations. What you'll want to do, and I recommend that you go onto the NHTSA website. NHTSA is the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. And if you go to their website, they actually have a specific website, safercar.gov. If you go on there, you can find where you can put in your zip code, and it'll give you a list of places that have car seat techs available. And you'll need to call and make an appointment, because if you just show up, the person who does the car seat tech stuff may not be there. Typically within a fire department or a police department, they only have 1 or 2 people that are actually trained in this. And so if you just show up on a random day, they might be like, oh, well, Joe, he's on vacation. So you want to make sure you call ahead and make sure that you're going to have an appointment to go in. When I trained, everyone in the room was from a police station, except for me. I was the one civilian. So that was kind of cool. And I learned from all of them that they were like, yeah, I'm the first one to do this in my station. Or, oh yeah, there's one other guy and they wanted a backup guy. So now we have 2. So that's why you want to make sure you call ahead to make sure you can, not be wasting your time. And then once you're there, they should be checking your seat and giving you tips and helping you. But ultimately, you need to be the one to know how to do it. You cannot rely on anyone else. And I am totally guilty of this as well, because when I was pregnant with my twins, once we got our car seats, I was just like uncomfortable all the time. I mean, I don't know why, but I felt like, maybe my dad could install this. My dad's really good at doing handy stuff around the house. And so I was like, hey, Dad, why don't you take a crack at installing these 2 car seats? So I let him do it, didn't check it, didn't even look twice at them. I kind of was like, oh yeah, that looks good. I went to a safety event at our local hospital with car seat techs there, and they were checking all the cars, and they got to me and they were like, what did you do to this thing?
My parents always struggle so much. They're like, these car seats are too fancy. When we had car seats, they weren't.
All these? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why? They're like, we don't even know how to get this out of the car. These seats are
oh my God.
Wrong. They're like, who did it? My dad did it. They're like, yeah, no. Did he even look at the manual? I'm like, I don't know. So don't be a dummy like me. Do it yourself, even if you're super pregnant, because you're going to be the one having to do it all the time. You don't want to be stuck in a situation where maybe you had to go to the dealership and bring your car in, and they maybe get you, like a loaner car for a couple of days. And then you're like, oh, I don't know how to install my kid's car seat, and I'm here alone with my baby.
Right.
It'd be bad. So let's learn on our own, and also make sure your spouse knows how to do it, because don't tell my husband that I said this to you guys. He still doesn't know how to install the car seats in our car. So I was always the one to do it. So moms, make sure that, I don't want to be biased. Dads too, make sure your spouse also knows how to do it. You can't just be the one person that knows. And anyone else who's going to be driving your kids around, they need to know how to install it safely. This brings me to another point that I really wanted to bring up tonight. Whichever car seat you buy, you need to make sure that it is a car seat you will be able to install right every time. Okay. So that is the most important factor in what car seat you choose. So you could buy the most expensive seat on the market or the cheapest seat on the market, but whichever one is going to be the easiest one for you to install correctly every time, that's the one you want. So it factors in a lot when it comes to such things as like nannies, babysitters, grandparents. You want to make sure that these seats that you're purchasing are going to be easy for them to also install correctly, because you never, especially with our parents, they're older and sometimes their hands are not the best anymore. And I can tell you, I'm 40 now and I'm starting to feel it myself. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God they now have these like really easy latch system where you just push the button. Before it's like the and it's like, oh my God, it was so hard to undo. So just make it easy on as many people as you can in your family so that they can install these car seats correctly. Because if they can't, they will just do the best they can and it won't be right. And if it's not right, that could mean the difference between a serious injury for your child. I don't mean to scare people, but your car seats need to be installed so that there is less than 1 inch of wiggle room side to side or front to back when you push down on the seat at the belt level. So that is the test. If you're like, I wonder if my car seat is installed tightly enough or not, I want you to go into your car after this video or tomorrow morning or whenever and literally go in and take the seat and wiggle it side to side. If it can go more than 1 inch side to side or front to back, it is not tight enough. And what some people don't realize is that not all car seats work well in every car. So even if you have a Ford Expedition, which is like a giant SUV, that doesn't always mean that every car seat is going to fit correctly. I had a couple in one of my classes who had a very large SUV, and so they figured that any car seat that they were going to buy was going to fit, but they also didn't factor in the part where they were going to be too tall for the car seats behind them. Okay, so that's something to figure out. You know, if you're new parents and you have one baby, your baby could go in the center in the back seat. But if you have a second child, now you have the where do we put everybody? Okay. You need to heavily rely on your car manual. So that's the other manual that you need to read, the section on car seats, because it's a combination of what your manual in your car says and what the manual for the car seat says. There needs to be like a good marriage of the two, because there will be certain places in your car that are good for car seats to be installed. And then there will be certain spots that there may not be, especially if you have an older car. Okay, so you're always going to want to double check with your car seat manual to make sure that the seats are being placed in the right places in the car.
Okay. Lots of good info. We have a few questions here from some moms.
Information tonight, you guys. It's just coming out everywhere.
I know. I love it. So let's talk about winter weather, since we're all Midwesterners here. Let's talk about coats and car seats and winter weather and car seats and safety with that.
All right. So Megan Webb says, I know you can't have a coat on a baby in a car seat, but what about bibs? That's very interesting. I could see if you were concerned about a baby spitting up in a car seat, that may be a concern. If you are going to use a bib, I would make sure that it's just over the harness. Okay. Here's the thing. You can put things over the harness. That's not an issue. It's getting anything between the harness and your baby that we want to avoid. Okay. So that's, for example, a puffy coat. Or any kind of coat that's going to create any kind of slack in the harness. So what you want to do is if you're not sure if this is going to be a good coat or fleece or whatever for your kid to wear in the winter months, put it on them, zip it up, put your kid in the seat, buckle them in nice and snug the way that you would strap them in. Then open up the buckle, take them out, take off the jacket, put the kid back in the seat wearing no jacket, and put the seatbelt back on exactly the way you had it, and you'll see how much slack there is. And that right there is dead air in the event of a crash. Okay, so that is why puffy coats are a serious no-no, because all of that air will compress in the event of a crash, and your child will lurch forward when they shouldn't be. So that is why we say that you should avoid puffy coats. What is recommended is thin, tight layers. So when my kids were little, and still to this day, we do the same thing. And we live in Chicago, so you know it's freaking ridiculous out here.
Yeah.
What I do, okay, here's a tip. I had a remote starter installed on my car. So we park outside. We don't even have a garage. So that was always an issue of making sure that the car was warm enough when we got it. And so when I left my car the day before, I would make sure that the heat was on. And then in the morning when we were getting ready to leave the house, I would remote start the car from inside my house. And then by the time we got outside 10 minutes later, it was really nice and warm inside the car. When they were little, I would bring them out in their little bucket seats with their nice, tight, thin, tight layers in their harness with a blanket over the seat. So that we're literally whisking them out to the car, snapping them in, closing the door, and they're already in a nice warm car. So that's how we kind of got around all of it. There are products nowadays that you can put over the car seats that have like a little window. As long as it's not under the harness, that's okay. But really, you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. Just having special blankets that you just use in the car, or that you always have with the infant seats wherever they go, is a perfectly great idea. So when we're talking about layers, it would be for a baby, it would be, like a onesie with long sleeves. And then maybe on top of that, like a thin, tight sweater. And then on top of that, a thin, tight fleece. Columbia has some really great fleeces that are nice and tight to the chest. So you're going to want to look for those things that don't have any bulk to them. But using that harness test that I mentioned earlier is going to really show you how much slack you've got in that harness.
We love those Columbia fleeces. I use that with my 4-year-old. And then we use a car seat poncho with her. I don't know if you've seen those in Chicago.
I have. Yeah, those became very popular once my kids were a little bit older, so they were kind of past our time. But I think that those are really, really brilliant.
Yeah,
They
and
even
for
make,
those of you
the
who don't,
coats now too that go
Oh yeah,
that buckle on top.
the road coat. That's what it is. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for something that is going to be like a puffy coat, but have a panel that opens up where you can safely put the harness in, it is approved by the car seat lady. So, she's basically like, the head guru of all car seat safety in the US. Visit the car seat lady's website. She's got an amazing amount of content on there. She has approved the road coat. So if it's something you're looking to get that's going to be a little more convenient, I would maybe check that one out.
cool. One question I really wanted to make sure we talked about was latch systems, and how I know a lot of people don't realize there's weight limits on those. And can you touch on the importance of looking at your manual and talk about latch versus using a belt with the convertibles?
Absolutely. Okay, so latch system stands for lower anchor and tether for children. Okay, so LATCH. So the latch system is a combination of the lower anchors, which are those two pieces that come out the back of the seat that you just clip right into those little bars in the little crack of your car, right? Of the car seat. So you click those in, but then you also have to use the upper tether. Now this is only on forward facing seats. Okay, so if we're talking about infant seats that are rear facing always, nope, we don't use it for that. We don't even use it for convertible seats that are rear facing, because we need to have a little bit of a rebound when there is a crash. So that's why we don't use a tether on that. But when you're forward facing, we want that tether because we want to make sure that this doesn't do this in a crash. We want the top of this to be strapped down, and you need to make sure that you're connecting the top tether hook to the right spot on your car. And you'll see on there, you can see in your owner's manual exactly where the hook is that you have to attach it to. Also, once you find it, if you're in the back of your car and you're like, I can't really figure out which one it is, there'll be like a little icon that'll have a picture of a kid in a car seat. That's the one. Because especially in my car, there's a couple different things back there that look like they might be the thing to attach it, and I did it wrong once. And so you really need to pay attention to which one you're connecting. Now, heads up, not all cars, I think I mentioned this earlier, not all cars have the upper tether on all seats in the car. So you got to read the manual and figure out where they are. And if your car is older and doesn't have an anchor where you really need one to be, you can go to your dealership and have an anchor retrofitted wherever you need it to be, okay? Like, I have heard that 99% of the time they can do this. So make sure that you're going in and asking that, and it may cost you a bit, but ultimately it will provide the safety that is really very important. Okay, so forward facing, using the latch system with the lower anchors and the tether, or you could use the seatbelt instead of the lower anchors plus the top tether. Now, why would you use the seatbelt versus the lower anchors? Okay, doesn't matter. They're the same. The most important thing is that you don't use both at the same time, okay? Because they were not made to do that. Unless you have a particular car seat where they say in the manual, it's okay to use the lower anchors and the seatbelt at the same time, which most of them don't. It's important not to use both, because we don't want to run the risk that your car seat is going to break, because it's not meant to be used like that. You're supposed to only use one or the other. But either way, you should use the tether, whether you use the seatbelt or the lower anchors. Now, you will need to stop using the lower anchors once the combined weight of your child and the seat reaches 65 pounds. Your car seat manual will be able to tell you how much your seat weighs. They'll also be able to tell you, okay, once your kid passes X amount of pounds, that's when you stop using the anchors. So for me, especially with the Britax, it's really easy because they have the click tight where you just like lift this panel, you put the seatbelt through, and boom, it's like connected really securely. I stopped using the lower anchors a long time ago because I just didn't want to have to deal with worrying and like remembering, once they reach 40 pounds, I have to make sure to switch. I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm just going to do it now and not have to worry, because, moms, we're busy. Like, we don't have time to remember this kind of stuff, right? I'm like, I'm just going to cut myself out of the equation and just kind of like, give myself a little slack right there and just do it ahead of time.
Well, I know I didn't realize the tethers had a weight limit until I saw a friend on Facebook post some sort of image.
Not the tether.
That's what I meant. The anchors. That's what I meant.
I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, my bad. That's what I meant. I feel like you knew what I meant, but not everyone knew what I meant.
Because they think it's optional. And you know what? If you don't have an anchor point to attach to it, and there's just no way it can be retrofitted, and you have like 10 kids, and you just absolutely have to put that car seat in at one spot, your child will still be safe. It's just having that tether is an extra layer of safety. So I always recommend that you use that tether whenever you're able to.
Okay, I'm just scrolling through here and see if we have any more questions.
I'm a fireman. I can keep going.
What else you got for us? Let's see.
Oh,
here's something to address. Is it true that even if you get in a minor fender bender, the car seat must be replaced? I've heard that most insurance companies will replace them.
Okay, so here's the unwritten rule when it comes to that. Minor fender benders, no, the car seats do not have to be replaced. But if the car is not drivable, then yes, it has to be replaced. So that is the word on the street. Now, I would absolutely, anytime you do get into a car accident and you're talking with your insurance company, you must mention that you had children's car seats in the car. They will then be able to tell you if this is something that they will replace. And if it is an instance where the car was not drivable, the car insurance should be able to replace your seats for you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not really seeing. Erin, you see any more questions that we missed?
That's it. I've just done such a great job.
I think you've done such a great job. You've covered it all.
I've just blown everyone away.
Oh, you're so fabulous, Julie. Do you have anything else you would like to add? Let's talk about what you're hooking people up with tonight with Twiniversity. And how awesome Twiniversity is.
People who are pregnant with twins watching this right now, I want you to know that if you want to take our Twiniversity Expecting Twins class, either online or in New York, Chicago, or Houston, we will add on a free online breastfeeding twins class, which is an on-demand video series that is phenomenal because I was heavily involved in making it. So we created that breastfeeding series with an IBCLC, and it's just phenomenal, and I'm very proud of it. So if you're pregnant with twins and you're ready to get a really stellar education to get you ready for your twins to come all the way through their first 6 months of life, please let us help you. And I love teaching the Twiniversity classes. They are a total ball, and you make friends for life. I have people that were in my classes that grow up, and I see them on Facebook with pictures of other people in my classes that they hang out with. And they're, because their babies were born at the same time. So you get built-in friends in these classes. And it's just a fantastic way to meet with people who are all going through the same thing and sharing our worries and our concerns and getting our questions answered. So if you are expecting twins, please contact me. You can email us at community@twiniversity.com and just mention that you saw this car seat safety video on the Kiinde channel, and I'll hook you up with that free breastfeeding class when you purchase the Expecting Twins class. So you can find all the info at twiniversity.com. That's TWINIVERSITY.com.
That wasn't an infomercial.
Down, guys.
Are you Vanna now? Like,
I am. That is my favorite thing. In my Expecting class, we have a guest speaker, and she does a raffle. I get to pick the tickets. I get to pick the winner. That's my favorite part of class.
Oh, so much fun.
I mean, come on, it's just fun.
Well, and what a great gift too for someone expecting twins. Tap into everything Twiniversity has to offer, guys. If you are expecting twins, have twins, know someone that's going to is expecting twins, like tap them into their stuff. It's such a special group of people, and the ladies over at Twiniversity are absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so happy to call them friends now.
Yay! Thank you for helping us get the word. And that's the thing, is that it's very hard for us to find parents who are expecting twins, because you can't just walk up to somebody on the street who's pregnant and be like, hey, you having twins? Because then they'll just slap me. So we can't just do that. We got to kind of find them incognito. So through people coworkers, your doctors, anybody that you can let them know that we even just exist. I think is helping us out. So we appreciate it. And besides the classes that we offer, we have free daily content on our website. We have a free podcast. We have a mentorship program for parents of twins. We've got daily giveaways on Instagram and Facebook. We have so many other things. I don't even remember. So we've got a lot of free offerings. It's really just our classes that are fee-based.
Well, at the end of the day, it just comes down to community, and parents of twins can obviously easily connect on the fact that you're parents of twins. Just like, with us, we have moms who are breastfeeding, pumping, we connect with them on that level. So, thank you for providing that space for all the twin parents out there, I should say.
It's what I wish I had when I was pregnant.
So, well, thank you for talking about car seat safety. If anyone else has any more questions, please drop them in the comments. I'm sure Julie can hop in there and answer them for us. And I'm gonna let's say bye for the night to Julie. Thank you, Julie, for coming on.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I'll come back anytime. We could do more.
We will talk soon. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Let's see. All right, Erin, we did it.
We did it.
Okay, so everyone, it's time for a giveaway. We're getting a lot of loves. Can we get some hearts? I think we're getting some hearts right now. Everyone's liking this video. Yay. Thank you for loving our lives. We're happy to bring you guys the education. We love educating on what you guys want to hear. So if you have any ideas for topics, please comment below. Let us know what you want to hear about and what you want to learn about. We can always find professionals to partner with and bring you guys that content. So let's drum roll it. Let's actually, everyone who's watching tonight, remember, you're going to get a free breastfeeding starter pack. Let's grab that link for you once again. It's bit.ly link. Check it out below. Erin, can you paste that in the comments?
Yep.
Free trial of our twist system. You're going to get everything you need to try out the Kiinde system. Now, what we're also giving away is a gift set. I do not have a box with me to show you, but that's going to be the whole collection of twists.
I have mine.
You do?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay, Erin's going to get the gift set for
You have
everyone.
to look at my wall for a minute, sorry.
Erin's going to go grab the gift set for everyone to take a look at before I announce a winner of this gift set. It is valued at $100 and is going to give you everything you need for feeding for your baby. It's going to allow you to pump directly into the twist pouches. It's going to allow you to feed directly from them, give you all the different flow nipples that we offer. You're going to get the great cozy warmer, the keeper storage rack. What else is in there? There is, like I said, all the adapters. You're also going to get the foodie starter kit. So if you didn't know, you can also use our pouches for purees, smoothies, sippy cups. We have a sippy top attachment with that foodie system. There's a spoon attachment where you can feed the purees on the spoon. You can also do your own homemade applesauce and different purees with the spat attachment, and then as well as beverages. So you'll get the foodie as well. You can see right there, Erin's showing you our gift set.
There we go.
Love to hook people up. So we have a winner. Who's our winner? It is, let me look and see, Megan Webb. Megan Webb, you are the winner of our twist gift set tonight. So please email support at kiinde.com. Congratulations for winning. Everyone else, we're happy to hook you up with this breastfeeding starter pack as well.
And there's a coupon in there for their gift set.
Yes, there's coupons for the gift set in the starter packs. So if you have any questions, please still comment below on this video. We will definitely address your questions via the comments. Also head over to our Kiinde community. We'll continue the party over there and answer any questions. Our Kiinde community is a peer-to-peer support group where you can post questions. Our lactation team manages the group, and we will answer all your questions as you have them. Also, a great mom. There's just some great community over there. Wouldn't you say so, Erin?
Oh yeah, it's an awesome group. We have a really great group of moms over there, and there's not drama. It's a safe space. It's an open space, and you'll love it.
Yeah, so head over. It's Kiinde Community with a K. Search the group. There'll be a few questions you need to answer, and we're happy to have you over there. So thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed the education we brought you. Tune in 2 weeks. We'll have our second edition of The Boob, where we'll have our whole team on again talking about safety. So not only will we talk about sleep safety, we'll talk a little bit about car seat safety again, just as moms. We're in our mom hats. Talk about baby proofing, water safety, just talking about creating a safe space with your family for your kids. So, happy to have you guys once again. Tune in 2 weeks, and we will see you soon. Have a good night.
Good night.